We thought the future photograph was the biggest mystery. We were wrong. Because a few minutes later, Marcus opened his drawer and discovered something that should have been impossible. According to the document he was holding, Marcus Reed had disappeared 8 years ago. Yet somehow, he was standing right in front of us. The photograph showed all 6 of us, smiling, standing together, as if we'd known each other for years, as if we'd been friends, as if we'd shared the same life. But one thing was wrong. One person was missing. And when Elena saw the photograph, she turned pale, because somehow she'd seen it before. A photograph from the future. A missing person. 6 strangers trapped inside a room that somehow knew their deepest secrets. And tonight, those secrets were about to be exposed. But before we dive in, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments if you discovered a photograph of yourself from the future. Would you want to see it? Or would you leave it untouched? In the photograph, one of us was missing. Nobody moved, nobody spoke, nobody even blinked. The photograph lay on the concrete floor between us. All 6 of us stared at it, the same 6 strangers, standing together, smiling, as if we were friends, as if we belonged together, as if this wasn't the first time we'd met. But one thing was wrong. One person was missing. Marcus was the first to kneel down. His eyes narrowed. What the hell? Jake stepped closer. Nina covered her mouth. David looked ready to collapse. I couldn't stop staring. The missing person wasn't just absent. It looked intentional. The photograph had been taken with 6 people. You could tell. There was space where someone should have been standing. A gap. An empty place. As if a person had been erased. Elena slowly backed away from the picture. No. Her voice trembled. No, no, no. Jake looked at her. What? Elena shook her head. I've seen this picture before. The room froze. Everyone turned toward her. Marcus stood up immediately. What did you just say? Elena's eyes widened. She looked like she regretted speaking. The timer continued counting. 0 hours, 23 minutes, 18 seconds. 0 hours, 23 minutes, 17 seconds. 0 hours, 23 minutes, 16 seconds. Marcus stepped closer. Answer the question. Elena swallowed. Her hands were shaking. I don't know where. Jake laughed nervously. That's impossible. I'm serious. The picture is from the future. I know. The room became silent. Jake stared at her, then at the photograph, then back at her. How could you possibly know that? Elena looked terrified. I don't know. The screen suddenly flashed. Everyone jumped. A new message appeared. Truth detected. Progress, 24%. The room went quiet again. The game believed her. Whatever machine was monitoring us, whatever system was judging us, it believed Elena. She wasn't lying, which somehow made everything worse. Marcus rubbed his forehead. This doesn't make any sense. No, I said quietly. It doesn't. The voice returned, cold, mechanical, emotionless. Participants are progressing. Nobody liked hearing that, because if this counted as progress, what came next? The answer appeared almost immediately. The screen changed. Round 2. The room lights dimmed. A low mechanical hum echoed through the walls. Then 6 steel drawers slid out from beneath the screen. Each drawer had a name. Mara, Jake, Nina, Marcus, David, Elena. My stomach tightened. I already knew I wasn't going to like this. The voice spoke. Open your assigned drawer. Nobody moved. Failure to comply will result in penalties. Marcus sighed. Of course it will. Slowly, we approached the drawers. I stopped in front of mine. My name was engraved on a small metal plate. Mara. My hands felt cold. I pulled the drawer open and immediately wished I hadn't. Inside was a photograph, a hospital bracelet, and a newspaper clipping. I stared at them, confused. The hospital bracelet looked old, very old. My name was printed on it, but I didn't recognize it. Jake suddenly cursed. Everyone looked at him. His face had gone pale. "What is it?" Nina asked. Jake didn't answer. He was staring into his drawer, like he'd seen a ghost. Marcus opened his own, then immediately slammed it shut. The sound echoed through the room. Nobody said anything. Nobody wanted to, because every face looked exactly the same. Fear. Pure fear. The voice returned. Participants must share the contents of their drawers. Jake laughed once, a broken laugh. No chance. The screen flashed red. Penalty warning. Jake immediately stopped laughing. The room wasn't joking. Marcus slowly looked around. "I don't think we have a choice." David finally spoke, for the first time in several minutes. His voice sounded weak. "What if we refuse?" The timer instantly dropped. 0 hours, 20 minutes. Everyone shouted. 3 entire minutes vanished. The voice answered. "Refusal slows progress." David sank back against the wall. The poor man looked like he was about to pass out. The screen changed again. Progress. 24% required. 100%. Time remaining, 20 minutes. Marcus cursed under his breath, then looked at all of us. Fine. Nobody answered. Marcus reached into his drawer, pulled out a folded piece of paper, and unfolded it. The color immediately drained from his face. "What is it?" I asked. Marcus didn't respond. His eyes stayed fixed on the paper. Then he whispered something, so quietly that I almost didn't hear it. "No." The room fell silent. Marcus looked up, and for the first time since arriving here, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. Not confusion, not anger, fear. The kind of fear that comes from recognizing something you never wanted to see again. Slowly. Very slowly. Marcus turned the paper around, so the rest of us could see it. My stomach dropped. Because it wasn't a document. It wasn't a photograph. It wasn't evidence. It was a missing persons poster. A missing persons poster with Marcus's face on it, and according to the date printed at the bottom, he had disappeared 8 years ago. Nobody spoke. The missing persons poster trembled in Marcus's hands. I stared at the date again. 8 years ago. That wasn't possible. Marcus looked around the room. His face had gone completely pale. "What is this?" The question sounded genuine, like he wasn't asking us, like he was asking the room, the game, whoever was watching, anyone. Jake stepped forward. "You disappeared?" Marcus looked up. "No." The answer came immediately, too quickly. The screen flashed yellow. Caution. The room froze. Marcus stared at the screen. The screen stared back. Then new words appeared. Incomplete answer. Everyone exhaled. The room hadn't called him a liar. Not exactly. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. "This is insane." The voice returned. "Participant Marcus." Marcus closed his eyes. "Yeah?" "Complete your answer." For several seconds, nobody moved. Then Marcus looked at us, and something changed. The tough guy act disappeared. The confidence vanished. For the first time, he looked vulnerable. "I was reported missing." Silence. Marcus swallowed. "But I wasn't missing." Jake frowned. "What does that mean?" Marcus stared at the floor. "It means..." His jaw tightened. "It means I left." Nobody interrupted. The room felt smaller, quieter. Marcus took a deep breath. When I was 23, I had a wife. The screen remained still. Truth. Her name was Sarah. His voice cracked slightly. We had a son. Nobody spoke. I loved them. The room remained silent. I really did. Then he laughed, a sad laugh, the kind people make when they're trying not to cry. But I wasn't a good husband. The screen flashed green. Progress. 31% Marcus noticed. We all did. The room was rewarding honesty. He continued. I was drowning in debt. Another green flash. Progress. 35%. I lost my job. Progress. 38%. I started drinking. Progress. 42%. The room became silent again. Marcus stared at the missing persons poster, then whispered. And one day I left. Nobody moved. Nobody knew what to say. Marcus looked ashamed. I got in my truck. His voice was barely audible, and I drove away. The screen flashed green again. Progress. 48%, Jake stared. You abandoned them? Marcus didn't answer, because he didn't need to. The answer was obvious. Nina looked horrified. David shook his head. Elena looked away. I felt sick. Marcus nodded slowly. Yeah. The room remained silent. 8 years. 8 years of guilt. 8 years of running. And somehow this game knew. The voice returned. Truth accepted. Progress. 52%. Marcus laughed bitterly. Wonderful. Then he sat down against the wall, completely defeated. The room remained quiet for several moments. Then all eyes turned toward me. I immediately hated it. No. Jake pointed at my drawer. Your turn. My stomach tightened. I looked down. The hospital bracelet was still sitting there, alongside the newspaper clipping, waiting. The game had already exposed Marcus. Now it wanted me. Slowly, I picked up the bracelet. My name stared back at me. Mara Collins. Date of admission. April 17th. 12 years ago. I frowned. 12 years? That couldn't be right. I would have remembered. Wouldn't I? The voice interrupted. Participant Mara. I looked up. Explain the bracelet. My pulse quickened. I can't. The screen flashed yellow. Caution. The room immediately tensed. What do you mean you can't? Jake asked. I've never seen it before. Caution. The yellow warning remained. Marcus looked up. The room doesn't believe you. I stared at the bracelet, confused, terrified, because I wasn't lying. At least I didn't think I was. Then I noticed something attached to the bracelet. A folded piece of paper, very small, almost hidden. My hands shook as I unfolded it. The moment I read the first line, my blood ran cold. What? Nina asked. I couldn't answer. The words blurred together. The room waited. What does it say? Jake asked. My mouth felt dry, very slowly. I looked up and read the sentence aloud. Patient exhibits severe memory suppression. The room froze. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. I stared at the paper, then read the next line. Patient repeatedly describes a room containing 6 strangers. Silence. Complete silence. The note slipped from my fingers and landed on the floor, because suddenly, for the briefest moment, I remembered something. A steel door, a timer, a voice. No, Jake shook his head. Impossible. Nina crossed her arms. I would remember. The screen flashed. Would you? Nobody liked that. Not one bit. The room had a point. If my memories could be altered, could theirs? David suddenly stood up. For a second, I barely recognized him. He'd been so quiet, so withdrawn. But now he looked different. His eyes were wide, almost panicked. I remember something. The room immediately turned toward him. David looked terrified. I thought it was a dream. Nobody interrupted. I've had it for years. The timer continued counting down. 001608, 001607001606. David pointed toward the center of the room. I've seen this place. The room went completely silent. Jake shook his head. No. David nodded rapidly. Not exactly this room. His breathing became faster. But a room like it. Marcus stared. When? David swallowed. I don't know. The screen flashed green. Truth accepted. Progress. 61% everyone stared at the screen. 9% just from David speaking. The room believed him. The game believed him. David wasn't lying. He really had seen something. Then David whispered 5 words that changed everything. There were 6 people then, too. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Because suddenly, the room no longer felt random. The messages, the photographs, the memories, the hospital record, everything pointed toward the same conclusion. We weren't strangers. We were connected. We just didn't remember how. Then every light in the room flickered. Once, twice, 3 times. The timer froze. 0 hours, 15 minutes, 0 seconds. The room became silent. Too silent. Then a loud metallic sound echoed through the walls. Clunk. Another clunk. Another clunk. 6 sounds. Exactly 6. 1 for each of us. Slowly. A second compartment opened in the wall. Larger this time. Inside were 6 identical black envelopes. Each envelope had a name written across the front. 1 for every participant. My stomach tightened. Because I already knew whatever was inside those envelopes was going to make everything worse. The voice returned. Final phase of room 1. Nobody moved. Nobody wanted to. The voice continued. Open your envelopes. And for the first time since entering the game, I genuinely wished I hadn't opened that message at 12:07 a.m. Nobody moved. The 6 envelopes sat inside the compartment, waiting. The timer remained frozen at exactly 15 minutes. For the first time since entering room 1, there was complete silence. No countdown, no voice, no movement. Just 6 strangers staring at 6 envelopes. Marcus broke first. Forget this. He stepped forward and grabbed his envelope. The moment his fingers touched it, every envelope lit up. A soft red glow. The room responded immediately. Participants may now proceed. Jake sighed. Of course. One by one, we collected our envelopes. Mine felt heavier than I expected. Not physically, emotionally, like I already knew there was something inside I didn't want to see. The voice returned. Open them. Nobody argued. Nobody delayed. Slowly, I broke the seal. The first thing I noticed was a photograph. The second thing I noticed was that I was crying in it. My stomach tightened. I didn't remember the picture. I didn't remember the moment. I didn't remember anything about it. Yet there I was, sitting in a hospital room, crying, holding my head in both hands. Written on the back were 4 words. Room 1, first attempt. My blood turned cold. No. The word escaped before I could stop it. Around me, everyone else was reacting the same way. Shock, confusion, fear. Jake looked sick. Marcus looked furious. David looked like he was about to faint. Elena simply stared, as if she'd expected this. The voice interrupted. Share your evidence. Nobody moved. The screen flashed red. Share your evidence. Marcus cursed. Jake laughed nervously. This room really doesn't understand privacy. The screen flashed again. Penalty warning. Jake immediately stopped laughing. Marcus opened his envelope fully. Inside was a photograph and a letter. He stared at them, then slowly lowered them. I've seen this place before. Nobody answered, because we already knew. The room knew too. Progress, 68%. Marcus looked up. You all think I'm lying. No, I said. Not anymore. Marcus nodded, then turned the photograph around. The room immediately froze. The picture showed all 6 of us, standing together, inside another room, a different room, but definitely part of the same facility. And unlike the future photograph, nobody was missing. All 6 people were there, including me, including Marcus, including everyone. The date at the bottom made my stomach drop. 3 years ago. Jake immediately grabbed the photograph. No. His voice cracked. No way. Marcus pointed. Look. Jake looked. Then his face went pale, because standing beside him in the photograph was a younger version of himself. The exact same face. The exact same person. 3 years younger. The room became silent. Nobody could deny it anymore. We had been here before. Every single one of us. The only question was why. Then Elena finally opened her envelope. The moment she looked inside, she stopped breathing. Literally stopped. The color drained from her face. The envelope slipped from her fingers and landed on the floor. Marcus immediately noticed. What is it? Elena didn't answer. Jake picked up the contents. His expression changed instantly. Oh my God. My stomach tightened. What? Jake slowly looked at Elena, then at all of us, then back at the photograph. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Finally, Jake turned the photograph around. I felt my heart stop, because it showed all 6 of us standing together. Again. Same facility. Same people. Same game. But this time, there was someone else. A 7th person. A man standing behind us. Watching. Smiling. The photograph had captured him perfectly. And unlike the rest of us, his face wasn't blurred. It wasn't hidden. It was completely visible. The problem was this. Every one of us recognized him, and none of us knew why. The memory hit me like a lightning strike. A flash, a hallway, a steel door, a voice, a smile, that smile, the same smile. The photograph slipped from my hands, because suddenly, for the first time all night, I remembered his name. And the moment I whispered it, every light in room 1 went dark. Elias. Complete darkness swallowed the room, and somewhere in the blackness, someone laughed. Darkness. Complete darkness. The kind that feels alive. The kind that makes you question whether your eyes are even open. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Then the laughter came again. Soft, distant, almost amused. My pulse hammered against my ribs. Elias? The name had come out before I could stop it. I didn't know how I remembered it. I didn't know why. But somehow I knew that name. And judging by the terrified silence around me, the others did too. The laughter stopped. A second later, the lights returned. Everyone blinked. Marcus immediately looked around the room. Who laughed? Nobody answered, because nobody knew. The room appeared exactly as before. The same walls, the same timer, the same photographs, the same 6 players. Yet something had changed. The screen on the wall flickered to life. New words appeared. Memory recognition confirmed. The room froze. Jake stared. What does that mean? The screen changed. Room 1 complete. For a moment, nobody reacted. Then Marcus stepped forward. What? The screen repeated itself. Room 1 complete. Progress. 100%. A loud mechanical sound echoed through the facility. Clunk. Somewhere behind us. Another sound followed. Clunk. A heavy steel mechanism unlocking. The room held its breath. Then the far wall began to move. Slowly. A hidden doorway appeared. Beyond it was another corridor, long, dark, waiting. Nobody looked relieved. If anything, everyone looked more frightened, because we hadn't solved anything. We had only discovered questions. Who was Elias? Why had we all recognized him? Why couldn't we remember our previous visit? And why did it feel like someone had erased pieces of our lives? The voice returned. Congratulations. Nobody smiled. Nobody thanked it. The voice continued. You have successfully completed room 1. Marcus folded his arms. Wonderful. The voice ignored him. 5 rooms remain. A chill spread through the room. 5 more. 5 more games. 5 more opportunities to die. The timer vanished. In its place appeared a new message. Warning. The room became silent. The warning remained on screen for several seconds. Then another sentence appeared. One participant has not been honest. Nobody moved. My stomach dropped. Marcus looked around. Jake looked around. Everyone looked around. The voice continued. One participant remains unidentified. Nina took a step backward. What does that mean? No answer. The screen changed again. One sentence. One horrifying sentence. The liar will enter room 2. The room exploded. What? That's impossible. We were honest. We all told the truth. The voice remained silent. Marcus pointed toward the screen. Then who is the liar? No answer. The room lights flickered. Then every monitor in the facility activated at once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each screen displayed the same photograph. The photograph of the 6 of us, and Elias standing behind us, watching, smiling. Then something changed, slowly, almost invisibly. The image zoomed inward, closer, 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 until it stopped directly beside Elias. The room froze, because there was someone standing next to him. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story so far, take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps support more psychological mysteries like this one. Now, back to the room. Someone hidden in the original image. Someone almost impossible to notice. A shadow, a figure, watching the group, watching all 6 players. My blood ran cold. The figure wasn't facing the camera. The figure was facing us. As if they had known this moment would happen, as if they had been waiting for us to notice. Then the photograph sharpened. The hidden figure became clear. Marcus stopped breathing. Jake stumbled backward. Nina covered her mouth. David whispered something I couldn't hear, because the hidden figure wasn't a stranger. The hidden figure was one of us. And before anyone could react, the screen flashed red. Identity of the liar confirmed. The lights immediately went out. A scream echoed through the darkness, and the steel door to room 2 slammed shut. End of...